Hello and welcome. My name is Nuala, and as we all know, lockdown's being hard. It's been really tough um, on us all, and because of lockdown, and as we possibly head into another one, it has inspired me to think about domesticity a bit more and how my kitchen can be a place of um, can be my creative workshop, can be a place where I can make my work. And I often feel like my processes, techniques, and the materials that I use have lots of similarities with cooking. I heat things up like Max, well, melt it. I mix plaster, which is like making pancake mix. So today I want to introduce salt dough. So an introduction, using the kitchen's materials and tools to create models and modeling material. The reason why I have chosen salt dough as a material is because it is as ancient as clay and bread. You can manipulate it the same way as you can clay. It's really traditional. Apparently, the ancient Egyptians started using flour and salt dough for modeling. Salt is a natural food preservative, so it will stop the dough and your models from going moldy. It's been used in many cultures, and I've chosen a couple of images here in particular for religious ceremonies where sculptures will be offered as gifts for the gods. So you can be really detailed. Also, I just want to make a note, large amounts of salt is poisonous, so for us and our pets. So please, this is not an edible material. So setup. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that you have a clean work surface. So put some old newspaper, cardboard, a tarpaulin down. If any of the ingredients you are allergic to, please wear gloves and a mask. Also, it's always good to wear an apron, and all you need is salt, flour, and water. The equipment we'll be using is weighing scales, a rolling pin, a measuring cup, and a mixing bowl. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to measure out our ingredients. As you can see, got my scales ready, and I need to have 250 grams of flour. There we go. So I'm going to put that into my bowl, all nice and ready. And then I need to weigh out my salt. So I need 125 grams of salt. So it's 1 part salt, 2 parts flour. There we go. My salt. I think I just need a tad bit more. Ugh. So at this stage, we're just going to mix your dry ingredients together. So just get a spoon and make sure that the flour and the salt are incorporated together before we add anything else. Right, all nicely mixed now, as you can see. Right, next, what I do is make a little well in my flour, and then you can pour your water in. So at this stage, if you wanted your dough to have color, you can use food dyes. So you can have different colors. But for this purpose, I just want to keep mine white. So now we're going to mix our dough together. I'm using my hands. Make sure all the flour and salt starts to come together. You're going to want to add a teaspoon of oil. There we go. I should tell you at this stage, I would use plain flour, and also don't use sea salt or any kind of big grain, a coarse salt. You want kind of fine table salt for this. Just get these last bits in my bowl, incorporate it all together. Also, I think it's really important when we are working with materials, and especially in my practice, I like to know the history of the material. So that's why I kind of started this presentation off by talking us through where it or how it came about. And I think materials carry cultural meanings as well. So they have historical and cultural meanings. And so when you're using a material, I think it's really important to make yourself aware of that. Okay, there we go, that's come together now. So this is a really important bit, is that you really do need to knead your dough really well, because this will make it stronger and kind of more elasticy. So like you would in baking. And we also do this with clay as well. Knead out your clay. It's quite therapeutic as well. You can kind of get all your stress out into it. So my dough's starting to feel a bit like clay. So bring it in, bring it out, roll it back. And so we're doing that action. Bring it in, roll it out, bring it back. Turn it round. And keep turning it. Feel like a bit like I'm doing a cooking show. I can start to feel now that it's nice and strong. Feels really good too. Got a nice round dough ball now. So I've put a PowerPoint together as well, which you're viewing at the moment and will be uploaded to the website. So you can download it. I have made little videos as well to kind of guide you through the process. So next, we're going to take your dough and we're going to divide it into 4 parts. Nice. So half and then half again. So once we've done that, we need to think about what it is that we're going to make. So you can start modeling this if you prefer to use it as a sculpting material to kind of make little sculptures, little models. But today, what I want to do, because we have been spending a lot of time in our homes, is to go around your home and start to consider and notice the textures and the patterns and the objects that we use every day. So think about what it is that you want to press into your dough pieces. And in true Blue Peter style, here's some that I made earlier. So I'm really interested in the architectural decorative elements that I have found around my home. So I've used my dough to take molds and take impressions from these surfaces. So, and the reason why I kept them as white as well, because they kind of remind me a bit of in the British Museum where you see the plaster casts. So I put up a slide as well, just providing a bit of context of moulding and its relationship in architecture and the decorative arts. So mouldings can be a kind of relief casts. So have a look around your homes and see what you can find that you haven't noticed before. So here was my first one. Where I looked at a cupboard that I have and I just gently press the dough into it. And the reason why I like dough as a moulding material as well is that it's safe, so it's not going to damage anything precious. I also looked at details like the fireplace. So it's really important that when you remove your dough from your object or your decorative element, to peel it away slowly, because what you don't want at that stage for it to rip or tear. And this is how some of them turn out. So that was the fireplace. I took the hinge of the cupboard. And that's made a really nice relief print in my dough. And I also looked at the cardboard handle. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take you around my own home. And I'm going to look at the objects that I have around me and start taking some relief prints from them. So I think the first one I'm going to do is this fireplace. So I think I'm gonna go for this little element here. No, actually, I'm gonna bring my dough around there. So I'm just gonna move so I can get in closer. So how I start is just getting my hand and just pressing out the dough. And I'm kind of using here my palms rather than my fingers. And it can take, it can pick up quite a bit of detail. So once I've got the shape that I want, I'm going to start slowly pressing into Okay, so make sure that it's in contact with your object properly. And if you get any kind of tears or holes in thicker areas, you can pinch a bit off like that and work on the top. So it's a really forgiving material, and it's just so it's simple to make. There we go. I'm just going to make sure that I've pressed it in properly. But just being mindful of pressure, because if I'm pressing down really hard, I'm going to just make a mess, because it will just start splitting. There we go. I think it's ready. So I think I'm going to start with the top here and really, really carefully peel it away, because what I don't want as well to miss shaping it. So I'm just going to take my time. Yeah, it's a bit thin there. So I'm going to have to be really careful, make sure that I support it. Because of its length, it could just tear into bits, really. Go. Getting ready for the big reveal. Here we are. I'm going to put that on my work surface. There we go. And I'm going to get my second bit of dough. And I'm just thinking now what else that I want to take a mould from. So I've got these patterns here, not quite sure whether you can see too well because of how dark it is. But what I think I'm going to go for this smoking dragon. So again, pressing out the dough with my palms. And gently start to push and spread the dough into your object. So what I'm hoping for is it's going to pick up some of the scales. And you can see how well it's kind of picked up the scales here. And that's quite an interesting object now. It's got an interesting relief pattern to it, which I really quite like. I'm going to put that onto the surface. Right, so that's 2 I've done so far. And you can then, if you want to, start putting them together and making a bigger cast, a bigger relief casting, bas relief. So you can play around, you can cut them up and stick them together to make different and more interesting casts. But I'm going to do these 2 as well. So I think I'm going to go over to that cupboard and you're going to come with me. Sneak peek of my humble abode. So I think just thinking about the composition I've got over on my table, I'm just kind of thinking what else would add to that. So I'm just going to study this for a while and have a ponder. And what I think I'm going to do is split this in half again. And I've spied this kind of lovely leaf-esque print here. And so I'm going to just press into that. Don't know whether you can see it that well, but you will once I've pressed this in. And I forgot to flatten it first. Also flattening it, like rolling it out a bit with a rolling pin, so make kind of preparing your dough for the shape of your mold. And that's better. It's going to work now. It's going to take it all rather than not. Also bear in mind, if you're going to bake these, even if you lay them out to dry, the thicker they are, the longer it's going to take for them to completely dry and set. Lovely. I'm gently going to peel this away. And support it with my other hand as I'm peeling it away. Nice. Quite satisfying. You get some really interesting immediate results by working this way. Just going to lay this here while I use the other bit of dough that I split from that one. And I think I might go around here because I have an arch going on the table there. So I think it might be quite interesting to extend that and to work that. I don't know though with this bit of dough whether it's enough to go around, so I'm just going to see how far I can go with it. This as well, it's kind of really nice because you're rediscovering parts of your home that, or kind of discovering parts of your home that you don't really pay attention to, and by pressing and touching you're kind of really connecting with your objects that we surround ourselves with daily. Let's get the camera up again so you can see properly. So I'm going to take these back over to where we're working on our work surface over there, and just have a look at what they will look like with the other casts that I've just done. More space. And I can blend this in using my thumb into this one. Smooth it out. Can even use some kitchen tools to do this. So you could use the back of a spoon. The oil that would drip from the teaspoon kind of will help me blend it as well together so that it looks more integrated and more part of each other. Where should I put this bit? And I got this bit. Maybe that will come together when I do that one. Yeah, a bit more oil will help me blend that in. Let's move it out. And you can also get a pastry cutter or a knife and start trimming, cutting away at the bits that you may think are a bit untidy. So like this bit here, I'm just going to pinch this off. There we go. Lovely. It does though, however, dry your hands out a bit because of the salt. So if you don't want that, make sure that you wear gloves or keep some cream, hand cream by you. I think I'm going to take this one around here. I'm going to just lift that up so that they come together a bit more. And tuck that bit under there. There we go. So it's starting to crack a bit there and get dry. So you can dip your finger in a bit of oil and smooth it out. So by taking casts, relief casts and impressions by bits of my home, I'm kind of able, and then by putting them together, I'm able to build and create kind of my own kind of architectural decorative elements. But you can do whatever you want with yours. Just spend a bit more time than what I have and think about the things that you want to take impressions of, or whether you just want to use this to sculpt with and model. That's fine. It's completely up to do with you. So once you've created your piece, what needs to happen then is that you need to put it into the oven. Please make sure that the oven is like on one of its lowest settings, because what we don't want to do is misshapen the work that we've created. And so if you have it on a high setting, it's going to warp and change the shape of your forms. So make sure that you keep it on a low setting and put it in for 3 hours or until it's solid. What you can do then, once you've baked it, if you wanted to take some molds from this, just and if you want to use edible materials like chocolate, just make sure that you build up a wall around the soap dough, so you can use that to build a wall around. Let's just show you. Like that, you can go all the way around, build up all the way around, and then you could melt chocolates and pour chocolate into that, and then you will have an edible decorative element to eat. If you want to use materials that are non-edible to help with your casts and to produce more accurate cast, make sure that you seal these. So, because the soap dough will deteriorate a bit. So you can seal this with nail varnish or PVA glue. It's up to do with you. And then you can push paper into this. You could pour plaster, and then you have the positive of the cupboard hinge. You could, the kind of, the possibilities are endless. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to also kind of set a bit of context with other artists that use dough in their practice. So, so you can get inspiration and see what other people are doing out there. So this is a couple of sculptures by Jonathan Balcock. And you can see here that he's used the soap dough as a modelling material to create these heads. And I think they're wonderful. Lexi Smith, she creates these more organic, abstract forms. And it would be worth looking at her work and also finding out why she's using dough as a material in her practice. And also Mark Quinn made these bread hands. And you get some nice patina here from, or colouring from being baked in the oven as well. So that's it from me today. I hope you have fun. Let me know what you made from it. Send us some pictures. I'd love to see if it's inspired you and what you created yourselves. So thank you for joining me today, and bye for now.